Hello guys and welcome to this new video. Since I'm stuck home recovering from the crash, I thought why not to make another video tutorial about riding on track. So today I'm gonna show you one of those things that allow me to improve drastically my lap times and my results. This video is gonna be split in two parts. In the first part we're gonna analyze the braking, the corner entry and the mid corner. While in the second part, we're gonna analyze how you turn the bike and how you accelerate to exit the corner. So if you don't wanna miss the second part, click subscribe, click on the ring bell in order to get notified when the new video comes out. So the thing I'm gonna talk to you about today, it's not one of those basic things like you have to move your butt outside, push the peg and hold the throttle like this. No, it's something a bit more advanced. So if you're going to do your first or second track day in your life, you have other basic things on which you have to focus. But at least you know that this is the goal that you need to achieve. Instead, if you're already used to riding on track, this might be very helpful for you. These things allow me to transition from being a fast amateur to being very much closer to a pro rider. It allowed me to go from taking 5 to 6 seconds from the pro riders to taking 2 to 3 seconds from the pro riders. And that's a lot. If you know the Italian circuits, in Mugello I went from 159 to 156, in Cremona from 130 to 128 to low almost 27, and then in all the other tracks I went 1 to 3 seconds faster. And I did not remove 3 seconds going slow. I removed 3 seconds going a bit fast. And you know how difficult it is to even remove half a second when you're going fast. So this is gonna be very important. Now the things I'm gonna talk to you about is something that in Italian we call spigolare. I truly have no idea if there is an English word for that. The idea is that you go from making U turns to making V turns. Okay, this is the idea of spigolare. This is one of those things that you're going to apply in the, let's call them one-way corners. For example, the hairpins or the long corners. It's something that you don't do in the chicanes, okay? Just to give you a few examples by looking at the map. In Cremona, you do it in turn 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. In Mugello, you do it at San Donato, Correntaio and Bucine. In Circuito Trazione Volare, I don't know if you know it, but look at the map. You do it in turn 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 11. So that's a lot of corners, and this is the track where I learned it. And this is valid for the big bikes like 600 and 1000. Because for the 300, 400 or Moto3, it's a bit different. Because you know, with those bikes, when you're 100% leaning, you can be 100% throttle. So this allows you to make some different lines. And this may also apply to small bikes like pit bikes or ovale in very small kart circuits, but it depends, okay? So, what is the basic big idea behind all of this? The basic big idea is that the purpose of racing on track is to do the best lap time. To do the best lap time, you need to go fast. To go fast, you need to accelerate. So the ideal lap is the lap where you're always 100% throttle. But there are corners, so you have to brake. So what's the problem? The problem is that when you're leaning with the big bikes, you cannot accelerate at 100%. Because if you do it, so we have one problem. We want to go fast, we want to accelerate 100%, but there are some situations where we can't. So we have to change our lines in order to allow ourselves to accelerate at full throttle as soon as we can. So we have to make some lines that allow us to put the bike straight as soon as possible. And how do you do that? By starting from the corner entry. So let's take a look at the lines. So let's take a look at this example. Now I took a classic U-turn and I'm going to show you how the amateur normally rides. So he's full throttle here, he starts the braking, he brakes until as soon as he gets into the corner, he releases the brakes and now he makes the corner. He either does it with no gas, but if he does it with no gas, he will slow down too much. So at some point he will start accelerating, keeping the gas constant, like making the whole corner with the constant gas, and now as soon as he sees the exit, he starts to accelerate. What's the problem here? The problem is that in this part, he's losing a lot of time. Because remember what I told you, in order to go fast, you need to be 100% as much as you can. This is not being 100%. So what does the pro rider do? He does this kind of line. So full throttle, he brakes normally later than amateurs, but there are amateurs that brake at the exact same point as the pro riders, but they slow down too much, ended up releasing the brakes here. So normally the pro riders brake later, but not always. So the pro rider brakes a bit later, but he brings the brake into the corner like this. And the more he gets into the corner, the more he releases the brakes. Once he got into the corner, look at this. The constant gas part is really tiny. In some situations, the riders start to accelerate while they're still braking, okay? So, in order to make this part as short as possible. And now look at this. The pro rider went a bit wide, so that when he turns the bike is already pointing the exit of the corner. So at this point, he is already accelerating. And if we compare this to the amateur line, we can see the big difference. Now, the pro rider brakes a bit later, but not always. But the big difference, as we said, that he brings the braking into the corner. The second difference is that, as we saw, the constant gas part is much shorter than the amateur. He accelerates earlier, and one of the most important key parts of this whole thing is the line. The amateur does a U line, very rounded, while the pro rider does a more kind of V line. You can see here. Tack. And this kind of line, which is made by going wide and turning the bike, look at this. In this point, in this part here, the amateur is pointing this way, so he cannot accelerate, while the pro rider is pointing this way, while he can already accelerate. This means that the pro rider gains time in the braking, in the mid corner, in the acceleration, and in the straight because of the higher exit speed. But let's take a look at some examples where I found myself riding with some other riders and I was able to catch this difference. Now, look at this. Look at how much time I earn in the braking by bringing more speed. Now, I had to stop because I was going to hit the bike in front of me. So I did a strange line, but let's just focus on the rider in front of me. Now, he is in this part here. He's releasing the brake and pointing the gas. He stays very narrow, and look at this. Now, my line was too wide, okay? But look at this. He's in this point. Let's take the curb as reference, and his bike is pointing this way. He cannot accelerate now, because if he tries to accelerate to exit fast, either he loses the front or he does a high side. So, he's stuck. He has to keep like this. And look at me. Look at what happens when I get to his point. Okay, I'm here in the same point. My bike is already pointing this way. So I can start to accelerate. And now look at this. When he's here, he's still pointing the wrong way. While when I get here, boom. Now I can almost be flat. In fact, look at what happens. When I exit the corner, without even pushing that much, I passed him. Let's take another example. This is Cremona, turn 8. Look at how much I gain in the braking. Boom, I already catch them. I go a bit wide. Gas. I cross the line and I exit faster. Can you see how much I gain in just one corner? And look at this. Focus on the speed. Look at how it never remains constant. But either I'm slowing down or I'm speeding up. Braking, 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 gas. Boom. And pay attention to this. In the mid corner, we have the same speed. Look, same speed, same speed, same speed. Oh, I accelerate. What's crazy about this is that even if a rider is 10 seconds faster than an amateur, it might happen that in the mid corner, the amateur is faster than the pro rider. Here, either the speeds are equal or the amateur is faster. The problem is that the amateur does not need all that speed here, because the faster he is, the harder it is for him to turn the bike and take the gas. Another example, last year, my first victory. Look Look at how much speed, more speed I'm bringing inside the corner. I go a bit wide. I cross the line. Throttle. And now I'm able to overtake in the next corner. But okay, you may say I'm not a pro rider. Okay, I'm just an amateur who started to go fast. So let's talk about the pro riders. We have Jonas Folger here, same corner in Cremona. Braking, he brings a lot of speed inside the corner. Braking, 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 braking. Gas, whoa, accelerating. So, have you seen the difference of the lines? Look at how far he was from the bike in front. And in just one corner, he was able to catch him and pass him. It's huge. Let's take another pro rider, Niccolò Canepa, 2 times Endurance World Champion. He's riding in Portimao with Van der Mark. Look, braking, 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 braking. A bit wide, throttle, boom, full gas. Same track, same rider, another corner. Braking, 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 braking. A bit wide, boom, full gas. Still Canepa in Oschersleben. Look at how much he brakes into the corner. Whoa. A bit wide. Release the brake. Throttle. Full gas. If you don't believe it, look at the telemetry here. Niccolò Canepa always in Port Ricard. Look at how he brings the brake inside the corner. Brake, 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 brake. Throttle. Same track, same rider, another corner. Braking, 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 wide, throttle. If you want a much faster rider, Marc Marquez, Mugello, MotoGP, San Donato, first corner. Braking, 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 he goes wide, turns the bike, full throttle. Another corner in Mugello. Correntaio. Last corner of Mugello, Bucine. This corner is much longer, so the part with the constant gas is a bit longer. Look at this. But that's just because the corner is very long. So what I understood is that if you brake later, but it's not just about braking, it's if you bring more speed into the corner and brake into the corner and go a bit wide, it allows you to turn the bike better and go on the throttle earlier. So you may ask yourself, okay, how do I apply this? The thing that I usually do is I go on YouTube, I look for a fast onboard video in that track with the same kind of bike, and I try to see where are the braking points. So if a pro rider brakes at 100, I should be able to brake at 100. But pay attention to this. Let's look at this onboard video of me in Misano. So let's take this video about me braking in Misano. Okay, this is the braking. So how do you see where I brake? You usually watch the video, and when you see the fork going down, okay, this is the braking point, right? This is wrong. Why? Because let's show the telemetry. If you are full throttle and close the gas, open your hand, pull the brake lever, wait for the fork to compress, it's already been 20 meters. So my braking point is not here. Because if you look at the telemetry, the point where I close the gas and start to brake is here. It's 20 meters earlier. So pay attention to that. When you see the onboard videos, the braking point is not where you see the fork going down. It's 10, 15, 20 meters before that. So if you see the fork going down at 100, it doesn't mean that you need to close the gas at 100. Because they will find you, okay, in the gravel. So let's roll back. I watch the onboard videos, I see where the pro riders brake, and what do? If they brake at 100, I do not go in and in the first lap I brake at 100. Because if you try to do that, your brain goes crazy. Your brain is not used to see the corner approaching that fast. So if you brake 30 meters later, you panic. This is what happens. This was me at Mugello 2 years ago, when I said, okay, let's try to brake where the pro riders brake. And I said, oh my god, I'm going to crash. And look at that. Look at that, I didn't crash. I almost stopped the bike. That means that I could easily do the corner, but my brain was not used to that. So you must do things gradually, step by step. So the first session you go in and you always brake at 130. The second session, the first lap you brake at 130. The second lap you brake at 130. Now that you're confident with that, the next lap you brake at 125. So you shift it a bit forward. But it's not just about braking, because remember, if instead of braking here, you brake here, but you brake harder and you end up releasing the brakes here, nothing changes. So what you have to do is braking later to bring more speed into the corner and releasing the brakes later. You shift this red line forward until you ended up releasing the brakes here. So very important, do it step by step. Another important thing is that if you're braking while leaning, this is what may happen. So the idea is that if the bike is straight or just a few degrees leaning, you can brake with all the power that you have. Because look at this. This is me in Misano. I'm braking at full power. I never hit the maximum here. And the bike is not straight. It's like, I don't know, 10-15 degrees. If you don't believe me, let's look at Michael Rinaldi, Superbike last race winner. When he brakes, the bike is leaning a bit. And look at how much brake he brings into the corner. Oh my god. I really have no idea how they do it. So the thing is, if the bike is straight or just a bit leaning, full power in the brakes. But as soon as you start to cornering and leaning, you have to release the brake. So the more you lean, the less you brake. And guys, be careful. The braking power that you have to bring here, if you are a pro rider, you can bring a lot, but you just need to feel the brake touching the disc, okay? At the beginning. You need to get confident with that. If you ask me how much braking power should I bring into the corner, it's all about feeling, it's all about sensitivity. You really have to build your sensitivity. It takes training, it takes practice. It's really important to go step by step. And, you know, when you're looking for the limit, sometimes this happens. One thing that I forgot to say, but no need to say, that the bike must be perfect. So, good tires, good suspensions, good brakes, everything should be good. One other thing that I realized is that if you bring more speed into the corner and go a bit wide, you may save yourself from making stupid mistakes. Because look at this. I was slow in the corner, so I tried to regain speed by accelerating early. Boom. And I lost the front. Or here, I was slow, I wanted to regain speed. High side. 6 months stop with a broken foot. If I entered faster, I wouldn't have needed to accelerate that much that early. Just to show you a comparison, this is me in Cartagena. I was riding 3 seconds from the world champions riding that day. So, you know, I mean, I'm not a pro rider, but going 3 seconds from a 2 times world champion, you know, I mean, it's not that bad, okay? It's not bad. And look, this is me riding in 137. Look, I bring the brake in just a bit until the corner, throttle, put the bike straight, full gas. So this is me doing this. Still not in the fastest way possible, but I'm doing this. And here you have me doing this, the amateur version. I was riding in 145. Look at this. Braking, I release the brake. Oh, constant gas. I lost. You know how much? I lost 0.7 seconds in just one corner from myself. Have you seen the difference? So now that we did a good corner entry, so we entered pretty fast by bringing the brake until the mid corner, we turned the bike, we put it straight looking at the corner exit. Now it's time to accelerate. And here is where I made another amazing discovery that allowed me to make one big step forward. Considering that this is a very important thing that needs to be analyzed in depth, I decided to split this video in 2 parts. Tomorrow at 18, the second part will be out, so if you wanna watch it, don't forget to click subscribe and click on the bell in order to get notified when the video comes out. If the video is already out, just check the link in the description, I linked it below. Thanks for watching, see you tomorrow for the next video. Bye bye!